So I just did a video on the second coming of Christ and Haile Selassie. And let's give some weight to the story that Haile Selassie is the second coming, as the same as the story in Revelations. Then look how the story has ended up. You know, I know there is satanic forces that work against prophecies, and if this satanic force was so powerful that it destroyed the end of the great book, then I'm not so happy about that being the end of the story. So I'd rather not believe that he was the second coming of Christ seen in the Bible. You know, I believe more of myself. I'm more of a Gnostic, and I've talked about, like, you know, orthodoxies kind of follows the book as if it's the fundamental truth. There's nothing outside of it, and even to the point where they believe every story is true as they are, and you know, and some of the stories I believe are true as they are, but I also think as they've been passed down in time and as they've been filtered through different regimes of time, they have been stomped on, you know, in a sense, from the true words of God. That's why I'm more inclined to listen to the truth of my heart, so that I don't get stuck in the ideas of these certain stories for every situational basis. I have a belief that the more you fill your words up with the more you fill your mind with another's words, the less you fill your mind with your own words. And I believe when we're reading people and listening to people, we think we understand the depth of what's going on. However, it's easy to just kind of pass by the nuances of it. However, if you start to find your own words, then you are understanding what you're saying. And I believe in knowledge being remembered over learned. And there's people that can remember it by just involving themselves in the Logos and meditating in the woods to their own situational moral ideas or things that have happened to them, and like, how do I deal with this situation? They meditate on it, and they like ask for the words from within, right? And that's finding your words and less following, you know. And I believe that it's really important to know lots of different stories, and especially the stories of the Bible, because they are teaching some very important archetypal stories. And however, like, to go back, so a Gnostic more believes that Christ is something that we can all find in ourselves, right? And I talked in the last video that there might be the top moral and absolutely amazing story that'll be known as the second coming, or we could call the second coming. However, I'm more under the idea of there's thousands of the second comings in their different stories, you know. And the more that you try to act as Jesus would act, based on a feeling in your heart, rather than trying to look for a story to know what the truth is, you should be able to meditate on it, and I believe everyone can find that truth in their hearts. So Haile Selassie, to be honest, if he was the second coming of Christ, he was supposed to become king, you know. So I think that Haile Selassie, he was a king, one of the last righteous, spiritual and righteous kings in our time. And so if there is anyone to look to and praise, is a person like Haile Selassie. And you praise him, but you don't, there's things that have happened around Haile Selassie that we can't praise him for, and maybe they weren't up to him. It was at powers outside of him, because he was subjected to satanic forces trying to shut down this spiritual person that had millions of people following him, as a prophet, as some of them as the Jesus Christ. So Mussolini ran him out of there, and he was subjected to a lot of satanic forces, so we can't even blame him for all that happened. People really don't like Marcus Garvey didn't like how he ran away and lived with the British, so he was kind of putting him down about that. We don't know what happened there, and I do believe he may have been a little bit too passive of a this is just my idea, and I don't know enough about the situation. If we think that we know of history as the story's been told, then that's ignorance, right? But as we can see, is that he was a very intelligent spiritual person. He was training people, again, more in a Gnostic Christian way, to find to not follow organized religions, because they can be run like governments to control, right? And he was teaching about that also, which is that's a high spiritual teaching way. And he never claimed to be this Christ of the second coming. And I don't think the second coming, or anyone that is understands Christ consciousness, would ever call themselves the second coming. So at this point, he's somebody we can look to as a force that shut down evil. But he was overcome by that evil. So, that the other idea is, if this is the story and we're still in the midst of revelations and Haile Selassie's alive still somewhere, then we can still pretend this story's going on, Again, I'm more in the belief is be in your story. You can use the Bible to find connections to your own life and relationships in your own life and pathologies in your own community, in your own political schemes and such. I believe that part of being a spiritual being that knows of the evils, because that's what a Gnostic is knowing, right? And you're like, we can be cognitively dissonant to truth, and then just say, I don't know, so I won't say anything, right? Well, I don't know exactly the situational basis of all evils, but we know we have to start to open our eyes about put some connections together, and you'll see that we are surrounded by it, and we have it in our own hearts, right? So I actually feel I've been kind of like, for a while I've felt a kind of close connection to Islam, in a sense, because I feel like Islam is a more ancient version of what I believe is Christianity and Judaism. Like, I don't know a lot about the book, the Quran, but I've been listening to the podcasts and learning about their teachings, and to me it just hits home to me. It hits home even more than when I hear preachers speak around the Bible. So I know that Islam is just another Abrahamic religion, just like Christianity and Judaism. So, and they're very much against the Western ideals and where that's heading, because they're very much Gnostic also in their beliefs. That's why you'll find a lot of right-wing networks in the United States putting down Islam. It's because there is a religious war going on, and they know it's going to play out, and they need all these Christians on their side so that they can fight this war, right? They have to have these people convinced, and not only that, they got to have them convinced that Donald Trump's part of the prophecy because because his part in fulfilling the part, like all of this stuff. That to me is a big act. And they even proved that there was all these bots putting out prophecies and stuff like that about Donald Trump to Americans, like Christian communities. And it was from like Eastern Europe, this bot farm. So they really are working on some evils to manipulate stories from the Bible, and they know how to mess with people. So this is why I'm a Gnostic, and we have to be very careful with just believing a story as it is, because the story we are shown is not going to be the true story until we can get control again of our media and of our truth source. And all I see is people. I'm going to see a lot of people just turning to like the people that were speaking truth during COVID, and I already see it. All the people that were speaking truth during COVID, which is the right-wing news networks like Fox, now are just spewing bullshit to get there. Again, they're gonna slowly move over and tell a new story. I am very. I can very much see what they're trying to do, and watch your news to see what they're trying to do. Don't watch the news for them to tell you what they're doing, because that's not what they're doing. See, there again, Gnosticism. That's knowledge of evil. Fox News is funded by the same evil forces. So they own both sides of the fence, is what I'm saying. You want truth, you have to seek it. Don't just be fed it. Listen to the people that are being censored, and read the books that are being burnt. I find it very interesting, because they could never burn the Bible, but what they could do is they could change people's perception on the Bible. They can even go back and change the words of the Bible. I believe also the Bible is an interpretation to an intuitive spirituality too. And I also believe in that there is, the Holy Trinity involves the feminine spirit in each of us. So if that's the case, then, because for me, how I found my spirituality was finding the feminine inside me and realizing the balance of the polarities, and there's a lot of that missing in the Bible, and if you wonder why, I can't like. That's why the Holy Trinity means the same to me, except for it doesn't just point. It points at the importance of your polarities in your heart, And that was more of the teachings that Haile Selassie teaches, and true prophets teach about finding the God inside yourself, and not to follow a guru or follow a top-down, because that's how you become subjected to ideological possession of these people. And if they possess your mind, and that's what the government's doing to people, we are in a slave system right now. It's not our bodies, it's our minds being enslaved. And we have to, only way to be set free is start to listen to the truth in your heart. When you feel something, don't ignore that feeling. Go straight to it, because that feeling is a thought. waiting to surface. Follow that, you know. So you know what, as far as if I can look at somebody that has done amazing things, I praise many people that I believe are prophets, and I praise Haile Selassie, I praise Marcus Garvey, and I praise Jordan Peterson, you know, I praise Eckhart Tolle. We should praise all of those people that are trying to build the power inside you, you know, and are using their pedestal to send that message rather than sending a message of dependence or just nihilism and atheism. So, praise all the prophets. Praise all the people that are trying to manifest Christ consciousness in all the little things, the great things they do. Praise them for that. And that's Rastafari. That's Gnosticism. And I know the teachings in Orthodoxy kind of speaks to that, but they do definitely push a different, if you're following it just to a T and not looking at its subjective nature, then you may be following it into bad decisions also. Follow everything. Or not follow everything, learn from everything, because you can learn from evil as much or more as you can learn from good. And that's why there is darkness in the Bible. There's a lot of evil stories and stories of the evils of humans, because you learn from that. And I encourage people to meditate on the evils that they could do, because that's true understanding of who you are, and that's where you're going to find the God inside yourself.